Hello boys and girls. Today we're working on division and we're going to be working on partial quotients. Now you might be wondering what quotients is. It's kind of a fancy word, but don't worry, it's something quite simple. So let me start off by showing you the parts of a division problem. So when we usually write a division problem, we usually use the division symbol, which is the line with the two dots on top and the bottom. So we write 18, we always start with a bigger number, divided by 3, okay? So, let's add to this, equals Q, and that's a clue to what quotients means. Okay, so since we've been using a lot of computers and we've been working on the keyboard, you might have noticed, does not have this symbol. Therefore, we can use the backslash symbol, and that would mean the same thing, 18 divided by 3. So when you are typing in your answers on the keyboard, you're going to use this if you need to represent 18 divided by 3 or a division problem such as this. Okay, so let me show you the parts of the division problem. The biggest number is always the dividend. Now the dividend is the number that you are dividing. Okay, so you have 18 altogether and you're going to divide it into groups of 3. Now this is called the divisor. The divisor tells you how you're going to divide the dividend by. Okay, and the Q, you guessed it, is the quotient. So the quotient, although it's a very fancy word, simply means the answer to a division problem. Okay, so these are ways to represent division. If you see it in a textbook or a test, you'll see it like this. However, when you need to solve a division problem, you need to work with it, you need to use the division box. And so we draw the division box, and it's only a two-sided box. We write the dividend in there, the biggest number, 18, and we write the divisor, the smaller number, on the outside, and of course on top would be our quotient. Okay, so let me show you what we're doing when we divide. Okay, this is what division is. So let me illustrate this for you. So here I've got 18 push pins, okay, and I'm going to divide by 3. So that means I'm going to take away 3. And I'm going to keep taking away 3 until I've got nothing left, or close to nothing left. Sometimes you're left with something, but not enough for another group. So here I've got a group of 3, I'm taking away 3 more, taking away 3 more, and I'm taking away 3 more. Okay, so I had 18 altogether. I divided it by 3. That means I took away 3 at a time. How many times did I take away 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 becomes my quotient. Okay? Now some of you might have got this right away because you know your multiplication facts and you know that multiplication and division are related. So if you know 6 times 3 equals 18, then you probably knew this right away, right? Now when we're working with bigger numbers, we're not going to know these facts, so we're going to have to use partial quotients. In other words, we're going to get part of the answer, and then another part of the answer, and then we're going to put it all together. Okay, so I wanted you to see how we divide. Divide is basically taking away these groups, okay, to see how many times can we take away the group of 3, okay, depending on the divisor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these. And I'm going to show you a bigger problem. So something like 98 divided by 7. Okay, so I don't know of any multiplication fact that I could answer this with. So I'm going to have to do some work here. I showed you last week one strategy, and that's when we just kept counting 7s. 7, one group of 7 is 7, 2 groups is 14, and we kept going until we got to a number 98. Now that took a lot of work and it took a lot of our paper. So I'm going to show you today a more efficient way to solve a number problem like this. Okay, so here I'm gonna have to work, so I'm gonna have to use my division box and put the dividend in there, 98, and the divisor on the outside. So here we go. Oh, before I start, I'm gonna draw a little wall here because this is where my answers are gonna go, my quotients, because remember I'm taking it apart. I'm doing it part at a time. So I'm gonna start with a very friendly number, 10. And I'm going to ask myself, what if I take 10 sevens away? 10 groups of 7 would be 70. Do I have enough to take 70? Yes. So I'm going to start by writing over here because I took 10 groups and that makes 70. So when I take those 10 groups away, 10 groups of 7, it leaves me with 28. So let me ask myself again, can I take away 3 groups of 7? Well, 3 groups of 7 is 21. So yeah, I have enough to take away 3 groups of 7. So I'm going to write 3 over here. And 3 groups of 7 is 21. So I'm going to take that away. And I'm left with 7. Do I have enough to take any more groups of 7? Yeah, I could take one more group of 7. So I'll write it over here. One group of 7, of course, is 7. And I take that away, and I'm left with nothing. So now I know I'm done. I'm finished. So to get my quotient, I'm going to have to ask myself, how many groups did I take away altogether? 10 plus 3 plus 1 is 14. So my quotient is 14. 98 divided by 7 equals 14. Okay? Now this was nice and neat because when I finished with the 0. Now you're not always going to finish with 0. So let me show you an example of a problem that doesn't finish so quite as neatly as that. Let's say I had 100 and I had to divide by 7. Okay, so let's draw our box because we're going to have to do some work here. We're going to put 7 on the outside, the divisor. Draw my wall for my answers, my partial quotients. Okay, so I'm going to ask myself, can I take, I like to start with 10 groups right away. Do I have enough to take away 10 groups of 7? Yes, I do. So I'm going to put 10 over here. 10 groups of 70. 10 groups of 7 is 70. So that's what I'm going to take away. And I'm left with 30. Okay, I'm going to ask myself, can I take away 2 groups of 7? Yeah, 14. I've got enough, plenty. How about 3 groups of 7? 21. Yeah. How about 4 groups of 7? Yeah, that would be 28. So why don't I just go ahead and write 4 groups over here. 4 groups of 7 is 28. If I take that away, I'm left with 2. So I have to ask myself, do I have enough to take another group of 7 away? No, this time I don't. I have some left over, but not enough to take another group of 7. So I'm done. I'm going to add up how many groups did I take away. 14 is my answer. However, I'm left with 2. You don't want to forget about these 2. This is, let's say you're dividing up cookies. You don't want to throw the cookies away. So you're going to say, well, I had 14 groups and I had 2 left over. So we call it remainder 2. Okay, so you're done when you subtract and you end up with 0, or you end up with a number that is smaller than the divisor. If you end up with a number that is smaller than the divisor, it becomes your remainder. Okay, I hope this helps, boys and girls. Happy dividing to you. Keep practicing your multiplication problems. As you know, this is what multiplication is. I've been using my multiplication brain to solve these problems, and we're going to continue to do so. So I cannot stress that enough. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.